On track, babe.
Back on track, baby.
Cheers to that, babe.
Cheers to that, darling.
What's a sexy accent to you?
Italian.
Italian.
Spanish.
Spanish. Arbitrary Latino.
Yes. So that's included in.
My forte.
Pedri.
Really kicked this off again. What has led to so much dislike and mockery were two primary videos. One of Pedro and his Fantastic Four co-star Vanessa Kirby touching him affectionately in a series of clips.
Terrible confession to make in front of Gordon.
It's because we some of the best men in the world, so they don't count.
To be safe and to be protected, and I want very much to live on the right side of history.
I too want to be on the right side of history, and I have a feeling the right side of history is going to be on whatever side is the opposite of Pedro Pascal.
He's my yummy old man.
I am your cool slutty daddy.
I actually have no idea what to do with this.
Oh, come on, please.
It started as just another glossy Marvel press tour. Smiling co-stars, red carpets, and the kind of friendly banter that makes audiences believe their on-screen chemistry is real. But when Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby began promoting Fantastic Four, something felt off. Cameras caught moments that PR teams would normally kill before they ever saw daylight. Subtle flinches, strained smiles, awkward silences that didn't match the cheerful headlines.
Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby have been going viral lately because of their press tour for Fantastic Four and how they just can't seem to keep their hands off each other.
And then came the whispers. Quiet at first, then impossible to ignore. Reports claiming that behind the cameras, tensions between Pascal and Kirby had reached a boiling point. So much so that insiders were suddenly asking whether her spot in the Marvel machine was secure at all. On the surface, Pascal played the part of the ever-charming co-star, but those who've worked in Hollywood long enough know the truth often lives in what isn't said, the clipped laughter, the sudden change of subject, the way someone's eyes dart toward the exit. Fans began piecing together moments from interviews, leaked footage, and even old clips, finding a pattern that raised more questions than Marvel ever wanted answered.
Pedro Pascal did his biggest budget movie ever with Fantastic Four, but as the movie comes out, he's facing accusations regarding his co-star Vanessa Kirby, but a lot of people just don't realize one very key aspect to his lifestyle. Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby are doing marketing together for Fantastic Four, where they play husband and wife, but many people have noticed a lot of clips like this of Vanessa Kirby putting her fingers through Pedro Pascal's hair.
What happened on that set? Why are some insiders hinting that Kirby's behavior might have been even worse than what the cameras caught? And why is Marvel scrambling to keep it all under wraps? This is where the story starts, but it's not where it ends. It wasn't a tabloid headline or a leaked memo that first lit the fuse. It was a single clip from a Fantastic Four press junket. Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby were seated side by side, smiling for the cameras, when Pascal reached over and cupped her face mid-answer. His fingers lingered just a second too long. Kirby's smile didn't falter, not at first, but her eyes shifted, scanning the crew as if silently asking for an interruption.
Vanessa is my guide. She's my inspiration. I don't think I'll ever work the same again, even whether it's with or without Vanessa, because of like how dedicated and how her dedication inspired me to work harder than I've ever worked. She's hilarious. And you know that if somebody can make you laugh, you're in love forever.
Within hours, that short moment was all over TikTok, slowed down, zoomed in, analyzed frame by frame. Fans began digging. Other angles surfaced. A red carpet shot where Pascal leaned in to whisper something, her posture stiffening as she eased away. An interview where she was mid-sentence, only to cut herself off when his hand slid to her waist. None of it was overt enough to make headlines on its own, but side by side, the clips told a story that official press releases didn't. It wasn't just awkward body language, it was the frequency. Every event seemed to have a moment, a touch, a lean, a too close exchange. that made viewers wonder if the easy chemistry Marvel was selling was hiding something more complicated.
I told you about how he gets away with touching women in a way that comes across as borderline inappropriate or very inappropriate, depending on who you ask. And I explained how he is being forced on women as some sort of masculine sex symbol, and I absolutely do not like it.
And with each viral clip, the narrative started to shift. What was once playful banter began to look more like a brewing storm, one the studio clearly hoped would pass quietly. The more fans watched, the more they noticed it wasn't a one-off, from Comic-Con panels to late-night talk shows. Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby's interactions carried the same undercurrent. In one interview, Pascal rested H hand on her shoulder while she spoke, his thumb brushing her collarbone, a gesture she seemed to subtly shake off as she shifted in her chair. At another event, he leaned across her to answer a question meant for her, his arm grazing hers until she pulled it back toward her lap.
Kind of like, what would be the literal translation? Yummy old man?
No, it's my yummy old man. I just knew he would be an incredible partner, and I knew that he would play a man, as he always does with all his characters, who's just not what you expect. And I think it needed it. Mr. Fantastic is the leader.
Even beyond Kirby, eagle-eyed viewers spotted similar dynamics with other co-stars. Sarah Paulson on a red carpet, leaning just out of reach, while Pascal's arm hovered at her waist.
Of Pedro cuddling his best friend and fellow actress Sarah Paulson in London at the July 1 premiere of the stage show Evita. In Sarah Paulson case, people said that she looked extremely uncomfortable during this interaction, and lots of accusations of creepiness were levied at Pedro. Personally, I think this is just Sarah Paulson's face.
Dakota Johnson letting out an awkward laugh at a suggestive joke, her eyes flicking toward the nearest exit. Each moment was small, almost dismissible, until you started adding them together. Social media did exactly that. TikTok edits began lining up these clips in rapid succession, set to ominous music, with captions pointing out every micro-expression, the blink and you'll miss it frown, the slight recoil, the frozen smile. What Marvel called chemistry began to feel like a script the cast wasn't in on. By the time that Fantastic Four press tour was halfway done, it was clear these weren't just isolated, awkward encounters. A visible pattern was emerging, and it wasn't one the studio wanted anyone talking about. While the public pieced together clips, behind the scenes, a different narrative was forming, one that never made it into official interviews. According to multiple industry sources, Kirby had developed a running joke with the hair and makeup team about what she called the daily obstacle course, her way of describing Pascal's habit of closing the gap in every interaction. It was lighthearted in tone, but insiders claim the meaning wasn't lost on anyone who worked the set. Then came the alleged leak. Screenshots, supposedly from a private group chat linked to Kirby's inner circle, began circulating in fan communities. In them, she vented about performative vulnerability, a phrase she reportedly used to describe how Pascal's public persona made it nearly impossible to address boundaries without becoming the villain in the story. One message even hinted that his much-publicized anxiety might be more calculated than genuine, calling it a bulletproof vest against criticism. None of these messages were verified, and Kirby's team refused to comment, but the timing was telling. The leak dropped right as press tour footage was going viral, fueling speculation that what fans saw on camera was just the surface. Whether the screenshots were real or not, they cemented one thing in the public's mind. Whatever was happening between Pascal and Kirby, the smiles in the interviews weren't telling the whole story. In Hollywood, not all reputations are created equal. When former Mandalorian star Gina Carano was dropped overnight for a single controversial Instagram post, the industry called it accountability. Yet Pedro Pascal, whose press tour with Vanessa Kirby was now sparking endless compilations of awkward, boundary-crossing moments, kept every role, every endorsement, and every glowing profile piece. The difference? Insiders say it comes down to image. Pascal had spent years cultivating the persona of a politically outspoken, socially progressive leading man. Award show speeches about immigration, pointed jabs at toxic Marvel fans, and high-profile activism earned him a shield of goodwill that few dared to question. To studios and media outlets, he was untouchable, the kind of face you put on a franchise poster to telegraph all the right values. That image also made it easier to dismiss criticism. If a co-star seemed uncomfortable, it was just Pedro being playful. If leaked stories painted him as difficult on set, blame the grind of method acting. The same industry that crucified others for far less was bending over backwards to preserve his brand. And in the process, they were sending a clear message. If you say the right things to the right audience, the rules don't apply to you. As the press tour played out in public, whispers from inside Fantastic Four production painted a much messier picture. Crew members claimed that tension between Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby had been simmering since early filming. One source described multiple closed-door talks where Kirby allegedly asked for more personal space, only for Pascal to fall back into old habits days later. Director Matt Shakman, insiders say, was forced to step in more than once to keep the peace. The problems didn't stop there. Reports emerged of on-set blow-ups, Pascal arguing over lighting setups for his close-ups, refusing to rehearse certain scenes with Kirby, and pushing for last-minute script tweaks to give Reed Richards more heroic beats. Marvel executives were alarmed enough to quietly cut 70% of his scheduled interviews, replacing him with Joseph Quinn in several appearances. A leaked internal memo even instructed journalists to avoid questions about Pascal's method acting or political views, while planting stories about his exhausting workload to explain his reduced presence. Behind the polished trailers, Disney was running damage control at full speed, but every attempt to smooth over the cracks only seemed to highlight them, leaving fans to wonder just how bad things had gotten when the cameras weren't rolling. If Disney hoped the controversy would fade quietly, fans had other plans. Once the first awkward Pascal Kirby clips went viral, social media turned into an open-source investigation. TikTok creators slowed footage frame by frame, highlighting every tense smile, every subtle lean away. Twitter threads compiled years' worth of red carpet moments, not just with Kirby, but with Sarah Paulson, Dakota Johnson, and others, pointing out the same recurring body language. The hashtag #NotMyRead exploded after early Fantastic Four trailers dropped, with side-by-side edits comparing Pascal's smirking, overly casual Reed Richards to the sharp, cerebral version from the comics. Petition sites demanding a recast gained thousands of signatures in days. YouTube essays dissected his interviews, contrasting adorkable moments the press loved with off-camera snaps that told a different story. Even casual viewers began to notice the pattern. Comments under official Marvel posts shifted from hype to skepticism, with phrases like Pedro fatigue becoming shorthand for frustration. What started as a few fan theories was snowballing into a coordinated narrative one Disney couldn't control. And unlike studio-managed press, this invest allegedly pushed for forced diversity in scripts, a stance that clashed with his public brand of organic inclusivity. Suddenly, his activism didn't read as authentic. It read as strategy. Online, former defenders started using words like performative and manipulative. Even sympathetic outlets began asking cautious questions, sensing the tide turning. The golden boy sheen that had made Pascal untouchable was slipping, replaced by something harder to spin. An image of a star who had mastered the politics of Hollywood, but maybe not the humanity it pretends to champion. The drama between Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby might seem like just another celebrity spat, but it taps into something deeper about how Hollywood protects its own. It's a system built on marketability, not morality. where the right political stance can buy silence and charisma can overshadow accountability. For every actor dropped at the first sign of controversy, there's another shielded by a well-crafted persona and a powerful PR machine. What's unfolding on the Fantastic Four set isn't just about two stars clashing. It's a case study in the entertainment industry's selective outrage. It raises uncomfortable questions. Who gets the benefit of the doubt? Who gets replaced? And how much of what we see, the smiles, the banter, the chemistry, is just another layer of performance? In the end, this story isn't only about Marvel's newest Reed Richards. It's about the rules of the game and who's allowed to break them.